Sports tourism. Teams of soccer, lacrosse, and field hockey athletes, with friends and family in tow, may not replace retail and clothing sales or the arts, or other forms of outdoor recreation that draw visitors to the Manchester and the surrounding mountains area, but it is poised to take its place alongside them. With 2 new fields that opened last year, along with Applejack Stadium and other nearby fields at the town's Dana Thompson Recreation Park, along with the ones at other schools, the town has reached a point where hosting large-scale sports tournaments is a vision moving closer to reality. There's one tournament underway already, a series of 5 games between college teams at the Applejack. Those will be followed by a matchup between the Middlebury College women and the Williams College women's teams on September 2nd. 2 more tournaments have been scheduled for later this season, and another one for next year. John O'Keefe, Manchester's town manager, explained where the idea for the tournaments and making Manchester a go-to location for sports tournaments and sports tourism came from.
You know, the idea really goes back probably even before the NED study, but the NED study, which is the North Shire Economic Development Study that we did with Dorset and BCRC, talked a lot about organic gardening versus hunting, and also using existing assets to generate economic development. So, for example, had the town, a lot of communities would own a theater downtown. That would change our strategy if the town owned a theater in the downtown area, but we don't. But one thing that we do own is this park. Using these existing assets, Applejack, the 2 fields behind us, and then Knapp Field, and we have a couple other facilities here, and then the other facilities in town as well. We started to generate a strategy that would be placing tournaments in town based on off economic cycles. You know, for example, we're looking at April, May, June, and then September, parts of October, and even into November. We have a tournament in mid-November, about November 16th, that'll feature 24 teams from across New England. I guess the other sort of place where this kind of started to come together is both of my kids play various sports, but soccer's a big one. And we've traveled to different communities all the way down to New Jersey and Delaware, Pennsylvania, New York, Massachusetts. And it becomes obvious when you go to these tournaments how many people attend. It's not like a high school game, or we're having some college games here where they come, play one game, and leave, and they might pick up dinner on the way out of town. This is a weekend affair. The kids are usually younger, so their parents come. They usually bring along at least one unhappy sibling, and then even some grandparents sometimes. You have referees that come to town, staff folks. So the number that you come up with, you know, for example, if you're talking about the tournament in November, 24 teams, each team has between 12 and 16, maybe even 18 players, plus the coaches, plus the parents, plus the siblings, plus the referees. So you can see on a weekend like November 16th, you know, we're going to have a lot of economic activity here based on this tournament that we wouldn't otherwise have.
And there are more tournaments in the works, he says.
Then we're working on a tournament for September 23rd and 24th that we're really pushing hard. We've marketed it to about 2,400 people across New England in the mid-Atlantic states. Then we have the tournament that we talked about on November 16th, which is a regional tournament put on by Vermont Soccer Association, New Hampshire, Maine, and Rhode Island. And then next summer we're working on a lacrosse tournament for July, plus the Equinox Shootout. And then we're also working on a Division I men's game between Dartmouth and the University of Albany that would be at the end of April. That would be part of the college soccer series. We're trying to build Manchester as a destination so that when people think about tournaments, they think about Manchester. And one way to do that is by hosting college games. Obviously, if these fields are good enough for college players, they're probably good enough for your 12-year-old.
The seriousness with which the town leadership is taking the opportunities to host these tournaments is reflected by a new grass mower that trims the grass down to about an inch in height and cleanly cuts the grass, rather than whipping it and causing a ragged cut line.
The blades of grass are much more sharply cut. There's actually a clean cut across the top versus a traditional rotary mower where it kind of whips the grass and tears it. And you can see that there's a real consistency to the cut. So when the UMass and UVM players are talking about, you know, the grass, you know, some people think that they're being really particular, but there actually is a huge difference in soccer more than any other sport about the quality of the grass. Probably field hockey's the other one where this would be really beneficial.
John O'Connor is the coach of the Castleton men's soccer team and has taken teams to many tournaments. A few weeks ago, while helping run a summer soccer camp at the rec park, he talked about some of the factors that go into creating a successful tournament.
I think probably the most difficult part is finding a good site, because I think that's probably the most important thing as far as college coaches are concerned, is getting a good site and a good opponent, and so that's why it's kind of easy here, is Applejack's such a nice facility. And we have a lot of teams that are close here, so it's an easy one for us to be able to do. But that's probably the toughest part, I think, is just trying to get the right opponent and the right site. You have new hotel coming here. You got businesses that can help with us too, and attracting people to come. And I think that could be a really great part of it too. So.
Manchester may be nearing becoming a choice location for soccer and other field sports for southern Vermont, with the complex of fields at the rec park and elsewhere in town. So it's game on, and get ready for a new group of visitors who may be flocking into town on those tournament weekends. For the GNAT TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.